Well, hey, it's Alabama Annie at the end of a beautiful day here at the back of the old home place sitting on my little porch. Um, and I normally tell you a story and sing you a song, or read you a story and sing you a song, which I feel so guilty of. But like I said, it's hard to remember all those stories. However, this is going to be a little rant of sorts on a couple of subjects. And at the end of it all, you're going to hear a short ghost story as well, just to make it normal. Um, this week, I've been dealing with a thing called writer's block. For those of you who write stories, poetry, speeches, whatever you write, you reach a point sometimes where you've hit a wall. And when that happens, your character is just kind of dangling there with nowhere to go. And I've had this to happen a few times in my life, but this particular one is one of those that it's memorable to me because the characters are almost haunting me in my dreams. This book I'm working on is called The Renovators. It will be book two in a series made for adults or children. It's about two couples who lived back in the 1960s during the beginning of the just on the verge of the hippies during the civil rights movement in the deep south, and they traveled around the country renovating old houses like mine. And boy, I wish they were real and they could come here. Their names are Pete and Maddie Gable and John and Karen Sedgwick, and they live in Georgia. However, in this book, they have traveled on a houseboat they bought to a place called the Cypress along the Mississippi River in Louisiana. And the Cypress is a place where an old home called the Groves is located. And the Groves has a big history. It has pirates, it has buried treasure, it has some sneaky characters, alligators, swamp witches, you name it. It's a little too busy, maybe, but I've just hit a wall. My characters, the two couples, are on the boat waiting for something to happen. The owner of the Groves, his name is Thomas DuPont, the ancestor of the privateer who boarded a Spanish galleon and stole the gold, is the way I envision him. He's an older man with long white hair tied back behind his neck. He wears a cap, and he lives in the swamps along the Cypress River. And he is waiting for me to proceed. And the past two nights, I've had a dream about him, and he's like standing on his pier. Sometimes he's sitting in his boat, and he's like, "Okay, Gloria, what's about to happen? What's going on here? Where's your mind? What's happening?" And so that's where I'm at on the writer's block thing. And like I've said, it's happened before on a few stories I've worked on that I've just hit a wall, but then it all comes clear in the end, just like a song. Sometimes you get just a part of a thought, and then one day you wake up or in the middle of the night, and there it is, and you've got it. Bam. Some songs and stories write themselves. Some don't. But I wrote a song about just such a thing several years ago, and I'm going to play you a bit of it. It's called A Sheet of Paper. And it's about being a writer and working with characters. And it goes like this. A sheet of paper used to be my source of inspiration, admiration for the brand new dawn. Then it has become the very core of my frustration. Seems I really don't know where to start. I could write a letter, poison pen, invite him over, never let him in. Spell it out, what happens? Sheets of paper covering the floor. Yeah. So there we have that. Now let's move on to the state of our existence right now. You know, I'm a little miffed about things. I bought some Oreos the other day, and when I opened the pack, when I got them home, of course, that's the first thing I did while I was putting away my groceries. I wanted some milk and a couple of Oreos. I noticed how much smaller that pack of Oreos was. In fact, I was missing, I think, about 8 cookies. And I do believe they've reduced the size of the Oreos as well. I could be wrong, but that's just speculation. Same thing with Ritz crackers. Same thing with a package of cheese slices I've been buying for years that suddenly are short 4 slices. Yet, we're paying a little more than we did for that same product. And gas? Forget it. Thank God I drive a car that is economy. It doesn't require as much gas as other cars, and thank God it's not a diesel. Ugh. But because of that, I wrote a little jingle. You know, I've written several jingles over the years. One about a blueberry farm in Vermont. I'll play a little verse of that real quick. Summertime is here, if you know what I mean. You got little bitty blues all over the trees, and it won't be long until they'll be blueberries, frosty and plump. Blueberries, well, I gotta get me some of them. Blueberries, blueberries, and we did have a lot of blueberries. But here's the jingle I wrote about what we're going through now, and it's not much. 2 little lines. You pay a whole lot more, but get a whole lot less. Ain't that right? Huh? Yeah, right? I'm thinking it is. Now, and a song comes to mind about all the things going on in the political world, about our government, about the world in general. They want to control everything. Well, let them. But Louisiana Red wrote a song who had a great chorus in it. And it was something like this. I won't do the entire song. These are all excerpts. Whoa, whoa. The whole world has lost its mind. Too much hurt is falling everywhere. Got my poor heart in a bind. Whoa, whoa. The whole world is doing bad. There's so much trouble. Don't think that I've ever had. Good song. Louisiana Red. Now, at the end of this all, I'm going to tell you a short little ghost story, in a sense. A friend of mine and I were camping in the roundhouse, which was destroyed by the loggers after the tornado, which hit in 2020. They flattened it with 2 trees. If I could track them down. But before they flattened the log house, a friend of mine and I were camping in it one cool fall night, and it's 5-sided, and it had screen going up so far so that you could lay on the bunks, and if you sat up, you could look out the screen in all directions except for the side with the door and the porch. So we had a great fire. We had a wonderful dinner. We hopped into our cots and into our bunks and went to sleep. But about 1:30 or 2 in the morning, just after the moon got up, something woke me. And I sat up and looked out the screen, and behind the roundhouse was a road that continued on up the side of the ridge into the forest. And I looked and I saw a light bobbing along at, knee height or hip height. And I'm like, what is this? I couldn't figure out what it was, and I kept watching. And actually, I believe it was a lantern. So someone, and when we really got to looking at it, I woke my friend up. We really got to looking closer, and you could almost see the glow of a red plaid sleeve on an arm at the end of this lantern. And it was moving away from the roundhouse. And it just continued on. We watched it and vanished into the night. And I've never seen anything like that before or since. Of course, there were a couple of other incidents up there that just made me not want to count very much anymore concerning animals. I'll tell you that another time. But that's the scary story at the end of this episode. And to round things off, I'm going to do an excerpt from a song I wrote a long time ago in Moonbeam Woods, where the roundhouse was. And it's called Fireflies. Can you count the stars in a summer sky? Ceremonial dance of celestial fireflies. Send your love my way as you weave your magic spell. Where you're well rehearsed in lines that I know so well, and who can tell in this circle of moonbeams dance around your heart, and then the moonlight. That's when the velvet starts, where you send your love my way as you weave your magic spell. Where you're well rehearsed in lines that you love so well. Can you count the stars in a summer sky? Ceremonial dance of celestial fireflies. And on one last note, our local weatherman, James Spann, the weatherman, very astute, trusted guy, as far as I'm concerned, posted a photograph of an actual glowworm, which I remember the little jingle from when I was a kid. Glow, little glowworm, do it, do it. And that was my nickname, Glow. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. It was kind of random, like I said. But I will see you guys soon. Have a great evening.